that was like the payment, that was the tribute. So at the time of Makahiki, they would make a survey, and the Konohiki have to make sure you have to organize his ahupua'a to make the tribute. So that was the role of the Konohiki. They were facilitators and communicators who looked out for the overall interest of the people. Yeah, and you have to have a lot of skills. So the Konohiki served also as a bridge that connected the governing authority, the ali'i, and the governor, Maka'inana. Okay. And you had to treat the Maka'inana fairly, because the Maka'inana had rights too. Say, I don't like you, bro, I'm leaving. I can go to the next ahupua'a. You know, and families, as they began to grow, they would be extended throughout the moku. So you always had family that could take care of you. Same like nowadays. You go to a different island, you calling up your cousin, cousin, I can stay with you. So you see how this is all similar. The ancient practice is what we still kind of do today. So the thing that is important to understand as well is that the ohana were central to the life of the ahupua'a. So you could have these political conquests amongst the ali'i class, but really the lifeblood of the land was the ohana. And they typically stayed upon the land so long as they were treated fairly. So there was a trustee kind of relationship between the ohana, between the Maka'inana and the ali'i. I'd like to read this thing about Aloha Aina, which kind of encapsulates all this mana'o. Aloha Aina is an expression for the Hawaiian way of loving, working, and protecting the land and native environment. It is a way of the kupuna, Hawaiian elders and ancestors. At its root, Aloha Aina was a tenet that the land is the religion and the culture. When Hawaiians live and work on the land, they become knowledgeable of the life of the land. In our daily activities, we develop a partnership with the land so as to know when to plant, fish, or heal our minds and bodies according to the ever-changing weather, seasons, and moons. So this reminds me of Uncle Mac's presentation last night. And he's saying, oh, you Honolulu guys, you don't know if the moon is out because it's too bad. But yeah, when you can see a moon, and it's your life is kind of moves around in those cycles. And I remember that too. I would look at the moon and go, oh, I'm go tired. I would go Lima, I would go crabby, you know. And we never have boats. I would go out. We would walk out and swim out and fish along the reef. So the tide was important for me to understand, and the moon phases was important for me to understand. So this is Kamalo, where I'm from, on the Ma'e, the east side of Molokai. And Mary Kavena Kukui, she talks about that, you know, she said that in the act of struggling, oh, okay, I have the quote there. She described it as a biological and psychological relationship to the man that is dependent upon for survival. It is about understanding the hard work involved in earning one's sustenance, overcoming difficulties in one's environment, and appreciating the preciousness of the very features and forces of nature from which one struggles for survival. This is represented in your lore, the dramatic and awesome activities of, she's talking about Kau, the stories of Pele and the families there that they identify with that and their struggle. It's hard for me from Black Love, I think. But for me, when I read that, I was like, I totally understand this. Because come along, see my father, from when I was 5 years old, he would take me and my brother, and we had to walk this old wharf. And he said he like give us gold lanes. We gotta learn how to survive. And so the rock is all like this, so we have to balance on that. And then not in this shot is the old pier. And so it looks like, you know, kind of Malia Akutagawa, the what you call it, the balancing bar stuff. But that was not, you have to walk that, and to me it was like walking the plank. And you know, when you're 5 years old, you gotta walk this thing, and the water looked blue to me. It looked like, you know, could be 100 feet fall. Like, yeah, and I'm like, Dad, I'm afraid. He said, walk it. You gotta have good balance. So I had boot camp with my dad, and then, you know, over here is there was a spring that fed this area, and me and my mom used to get opai for that. And then we would go crabbing over here, you know. So I used to put my hand in the crab bucket and get bite, but for some reason I constantly like doing that. And, you know, so, you know, I get scars from that, and then after that was laying it, and my dad and my uncle was kind of unfair because they stayed dry on the boat going like this, and then while me and my brother pushing. So I get 100 scars on each leg, you know, from being bust up from the reef because I couldn't see, I just pushing, you know. And so I could that resonate with me, you know. The act of survival, like every scar on my body knows this I know. So this is a slide of, it's a wind, it's all the names of the winds in Oahu. And you know, Dr. Beamer, Kamana Beamer, he said that, you know, our kupuna had knowledge of the specific winds, clouds, and rains, and they had names. And one example he uses is the rain that is exclusive to Manoa, called Tuahine, and the rain exclusive to Palolo is called Lililehua. He said that knowledge of kalena, these boundaries, would enable a person to know which of the two rains he was experiencing. So embedded in that person's Ike is this mental map. And Dr. Beamer tells a story of an interview with a kupuna and a simple question of where she was born. He assumed that she was from the Ahupa of Waiapuka on Hawaii Island, but she corrects him and says she is from Hanili Palala. He's confused, but after further research he finds that Hanili Palala is 500 feet away in actual measured distance from where that Ahupa was. But for the kupuna there was a big difference because Hanili Palala is an ili in Niuli'i Ahupa, not Waiapuka. So you see that kind of like, no, I'm not from Waiapuka. I'm from Hanili Palala. You need to get it right. 500 feet makes a difference. But you know, like in your own mind, you know that too, right? You have this kind of understanding of your aina. So really, like what Gamer talks about is that there was OEV agency, there was Hawaiians was running the show and was making decisions and then running the kingdom, and they basically codified these customary laws and understandings. And all this knowledge was from the Ohana that lived multi-generations upon the land from time immemorial. So this is another example of the complex boundaries that were known. So at the time of the Mahele, these land commission awards and stuff like that, they just named the Ahupa'a, this Ahupa'a to so and so. Well, what are the boundaries? How you know that? You gotta go ask the Poa'aina, the tenants of that land. And so all these boundaries, there was a land commission that, this boundary commission that basically tried to figure out, okay, if this land was gifted and conveyed to so-and-so, what are its boundaries. And so they would have Kama'aina experts, these people that were familiar with the kalema, to draw the boundaries and testify as to what the boundaries were of these places. And then this one is Ko'olau Hoko, and these are the Konohiki fisheries. So you can see that the boundaries were known in the ocean as well. So what the first law that was promulgated under the Kingdom of Hawaii was Kalawai Mamalahoi, the law of the splintered paddle. And this really underscores that relationship that the ali'i had to the maka'ainana. So this was Kamehameha first within his young Tantaran days. So he was feeling all like macho and muscly and wanting to fight and just go hanahin with this bunch of fishermen along the ocean, along the shoreline. So he came, make Tantaran, and then he would fall in the lava and he got stuck. So the maka'ainana got one paddle and he bust him over his head and they would run away. They never know he was the big chief. And his retainers wasn't fast enough to go capture his maka'ainana. But Kamehameha learned one big lesson and he said, you know, I wasn't Kono. I shouldn't have done that. You know, ali'i has greater responsibilities. And so the law of the splintered paddle basically recognized that all the trails are free and the people should have access to all the trails without being without being molested or harmed by anyone. So that was the first law that was passed, the law of the splintered paddle. And so his heir Kamehameha III, that's when they started to codify some of these customary laws. So Kamehameha III said in this 1840 Constitution, Kamehameha was the founder of the kingdom, and to him belonged all the land from one end of the islands to the other, though it was not his own private property. It belonged to the chiefs and people in common, of whom Kamehameha first was the head, and the management of the landed property. So what that says really is, he never owned the land. He was a trustee for the benefit of the people. And so it being therefore fully established that there are but three classes of persons having vested rights in the land. The first is the government, second the landlord, so this is the chiefs or the Konohiki, third the tenant. It becomes necessary to ascertain the proportional rights of each. So this is one, what kind of cake is this called? So this thing, there's multiple layers of rights in the aina, okay? But every piece of land, so basically at the time of the Mejia in 1848, when they privatized the land, every piece of land on a land commission award, royal patent, any kind of deed, it has this kuleana reservation, which means reserving the rights of native tenants. If you go back to the cake, it's like, it's the maka'ainana, you can never sever that vested right from the land. So what does that mean? That has implications for native Hawaiian rights law. So the Hawaiian were distinguished as those maka'ainana that were tenants of an ahupua'a, that lived within the ahupua'a. Hawaiian means land overseer or caretaker or tenant. Traditional and customary rights of the Hawaiian are rooted in the customs, practices, and rights of the original and still primary social unit called the ohana. Okay, so what we're gonna be looking at is Hawaiian rights. So Professor Daviana McGregor, she says, in Hawaii, fee simple title to a property does not give you the kind of absolute ownership that's conferred by Western law. A deed in Hawaii comes with limits. So you cannot think of private property in Hawaii as being the same as what you see on the mainland. They're encumbered in a way. It's like a covenant that runs with the land, and you gotta take care of the Hawaiian law. So whether it's public or private land, Hawaiian have ability to access. Okay, so in 1850 there was a Kuleana Act, and the Kuleana Act basically said where the landlords have attained or hereafter obtain allodial titles to their land, the people on each of their lands shall not be deprived of the right to take firewood, house timber, alcohol, thatch, or tea from the land on which they live for their own private use. But they shall not have a right to take such articles for profit, to sell for profit. The people shall also have a right to the drinking water and running water, and the roads shall be free to all, on all lands rented in fee simple, provided that they shall not be applicable to wells and water courses, okay, which individuals have made for their own use. The Kuleana Act of 1850 was amended in 1851. The 1851 required that people ask permission to go upon the land to gather these essential items for food and for construction and things like that. But what happened was when they tested out this law, now you gotta see that values have eroded. Konohiki are no longer understood as Konohiki. They're now just landlords. So you see that by calling them landlords, now you're stripping away that kuleana to take care of the Hawaiian and be fair to them. So these landlords and these chiefs, or how the foreigners who had acquired the land from chiefs, now they're the Konohiki, now they're the landlords, but you get all the authority, but not all the responsibility. So they wasn't letting the Hawaiian onto the land to get these things. So this is a petition from the Hawaiian, 54 Hawaiian in Kaneohe, and this is in 1850. We are in trouble because we have no firewood and no la'i and no timber for houses. It is said in the law that those who are living on the land can secure the things above stated. This is all right for those persons who are living on lands which have forests, but we who live on lands which have no forests, we are in trouble. The children are eating raw potato because of no firewood. The mouths of the children are swollen from having eaten raw taro. We have been in this trouble for 3 months. The Konohikis with wooded lands here in Kaneohe have absolutely withheld the firewood and la'i and the timber for house. So they petitioned the king and said, well, something gotta change. The Konohiki not acting like true Konohiki, they're not letting us on the land. And our children are suffering.